The red smoke rises on another Tuesday night as we are back to discuss all things St. Louis SC, and that includes being scoreless against Seattle. Also, plenty of goals against Minnesota United 2 for our City 2 squad. And, of course, we look ahead to if you thought Seattle was tough, well, we're going to have to try to get some points on the road in the West Coast against a team that I'm kind of a little bit scared by. But anyway, we're going to cope together on this episode of Red Smoke Rising. I am the Drogba of Dogtown, Tom Franklin. The Ronaldo of Bethalto will hopefully be joining us here in just a little bit, just having some technical difficulties, as tends to happen sometimes. But I do have the Chris Wood of Crestwood Forest, Jake Henry. And Jake, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing all right. How are you? Let's get this show on the road, eh?
Yep, let's get it on the road. And I see the shirt that you are wearing there, and we will talk about that in just a little bit. Of course, our hearts are heavy tonight for Edu Leuven and his family. And of course, want to thank you to Chris Gebhardt as well, the dog leash of the Metro East, monitoring things behind the scenes and keeping an eye on chat. Of course, we are all available on all podcast platforms, streaming live on Tuesday nights on the Red Smoke Rising X, as well as the STL Soccer News YouTube as well. And want to kind of give you a heads up before we really get going and getting into the show here. So we are going to do things a little differently tonight. We are going to have a few guests on tonight from BOHFS, our local amateur club that is playing in the U.S. Open Cup next week. They are taking on Union Omaha, a club that I know very well personally, but it'll be an interesting experience. We're going to hear from the owner and manager, Alen Bradaric, as well as he's going to bring on at least one or two players on the show as well. So we're going to do things a little differently. So first things first, we will not have a final third this episode. So if you have comments or questions, feel free to fire them during the show, as the Ronaldo of Bethalto has come through his own red smoke. and cut through the cable to get through here. So welcome, Jeremy.
Yeah, glad to be here. I thought I called an end to the podcast wars with the South End guys. I still think we have a truce, but those gremlins tonight are getting me, guys.
Yeah, man, swole Eric Cole, man. I asked him for some supplement and protein powder advice, and he never responded. So I think he wants the muscle all to himself. But yeah, check them out. Of course, they are back with podcasts every single week. But yes, so we are going to instead, as I was saying, we are going to split this into two episodes. If you're listening to the podcast version, so we are going to have the St. Louis City episode, and then we are going to have a BOHFS episode where we preview their Open Cup match and also get you to know them a little bit. So as far as you're concerned, if you're in the chat watching on YouTube, nothing changes. We're just going to be going for the whole way. But again, we will feature your comments as the show goes on. Speaking of features, I happened to walk next door to down the street to Pat Connolly Tavern, located in beautiful Dogtown, and I spotted something in progress. Yes, pardon our progress. The construction on their outside patio has finally gotten underway, so they are going to be adding some extra space to their, intimate tavern coming up in hopefully in time for the World Cup. So we will, of course, let you know when that opens here. And of course, want to thank Pat Connolly Tavern for supporting this show and supporting St. Louis since 1942. Of course, they are still a St. Louis City on tap bar, and I will be there this Saturday for a watch party for the LAFC game. So it's going to be a tough game, guys. So we might want to cope together at Pat Connolly Tavern this Saturday night. And again, they are located at the corner of Oakland and Tam in beautiful Dogtown, and they are a proud partner of Red Smoke Rising. Okay. First things first, we have to address something right off the bat here, and it is news that I don't think any one of us wanted to address at any given moment. As you all have been aware, Edu Leuven has been in and out of the lineup in the past year plus, and it's been due to his wife's health troubles. And unfortunately, City SC announced the passing of Alona Leuven on March 9th, and this is their official statement. After a 2-year battle with cancer, Alona Leuven passed away this morning, March 9th, 2026. We grieve alongside Edu and all those impacted by this loss, and we ask the city community to keep them in your prayers during this difficult time. Alona was a beautiful example of love, humility, and kindness, and will be deeply missed. A message from Leuven's pastor, Edu and Alona built their life on faith in Christ, and we find comfort in knowing Alona's suffering is over and that she is now in the eternal presence of her Savior, end quote. So, and of course, one thing that St. Louis City is doing is if you want to send well wishes and condolences and support to Edu and the Leuven family, you can send them either via email, allforedu@stlcitysc.com, or you can send it via mail, 218 South 22nd Street, St. Louis, Missouri, 63103. So, guys, news that, it's heartbreaking, and it felt, just kind of inevitable that we would get to this point, and just based on, just her long battle with brain cancer. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, we changed our logo for this episode to show our support and condolences in our own little way here. But heavy hearts tonight, and not just the community, but just, guys, imagine how, if you're a player, and you train with Edu every day, you eat with him, you sleep with him, you travel with him. I'm sure there's some very heavy hearts in that locker room, guys.
Tom, I first of all, my condolences as well. I know as a show, we express our condolences and support for Edu, but personally as well, I feel for him. Cancer has touched so many people across the world. It is, frankly, it sucks. And it can't be easy what he's gone through the last 2 years trying to be available for this club. First and foremost, after the condolences, I want to commend the club for the way they've handled this entire situation.
Yes.
I think that has to be said. They've done right by the player as best as possible in this really terrible situation. And also just the outpouring of support, whether it's national commentators, clubs from across the league, clubs from across the world, even former sporting director Lutz Pfannenstiel posted messages of support on social media. So it's in moments like this, truly the soccer world is rallying around Edu. Jake, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean it's always tough, and I really really send my thoughts and prayers out to Edu. Uh, I just can't imagine what he's going through right now. It's really tough.
Well, I mean, of course, cancer affects, it feels like everyone gets affected by cancer at some point just because of a loved one that, ends up falling, victim to it. But this is his wife. This is the mother of his children. And it's those kids were much too young to lose their mom like this way. And it's just very heartbreaking to think about. And, I also want to say as well to anyone that is watching or listening right now that might be thinking Edu's going to be back in the lineup anytime soon. He's probably not. He's got the heaviest heart out of anyone right now, and I think it is important that we give him his privacy, give him his space, and let him heal. And it might be a while for him to heal, and that is totally understandable. So.
Yep, soccer is secondary in all of this. There's much bigger things right now than the game of soccer for Edu, and best we can do is be supportive of it in any way that we can, whether it's through the club, as you mentioned, the two ways via email or old fashioned mail, Tom, or just doing what we can to be supportive from afar.
Yep.
Absolutely, and the thing one thing that Edu has always said. I remember his ball watching episode a couple years ago where he sat down with them. He loves St. Louis, and he loves one of the reasons he loves St. Louis is the people. And so yes, it is. It's never too much to take the high road and offer condolences to a man that is currently struggling right now. So, and as Kayla said in the chat, his family, especially his kids, come first. So, again, our thoughts and prayers go out to Edu Lubin and his family and the entire St. Louis City family and everyone that is that he has touched in his life. Moving on now, so we have to talk about the St. Louis City game this past weekend against Seattle Sounders. But before we do, if I can inject a little bit of levity into the room, before we get to our recap of our scoreless performance against Seattle, it is time for the latest edition of Did Joao Klaus Score This Week? Jeremy, did Klaus score this week?
He did.
And Jake, did he score for St. Louis City?
He did not.
Okay. Well, we are 2 for 2. Make sure to tune in next week to see if the streak continues. I like those odds, and I don't like those odds, honestly. But we got to talk about the game. We got to talk about, his replacements didn't score against Seattle. And Jeremy, go ahead and I'll say I was out of town this weekend, so I have not had a real good chance to sit down and dissect the game. So, Jeremy, you were there, literally. Break it down for us. What went wrong with Seattle, man?
Well, we'll get to that. I think the first thing to talk through is the starting 11 because we did have one change and we got it right. We talked about it on the show last week. We saw Cedric Toyshirt slide in for Sang-Min Jong. Otherwise, the XI was unchanged. But I think going into this game, guys, there were questions about Seattle's health just as much as there were ours. And we come to find out we did not see Paul Rothrock, Jordan Morris, Pedro de la Vega, and then Georgie Manungu was on the bench but did not appear either. So we had a very offensively challenged Seattle side coming into town. And to compound that, they also lost their starting center back Yamar in the 22nd minute to injury. So this was a really wounded Seattle team that really you would have hoped to get more for as you started to see the starting 11 guys. if Tom, Jake, if I told you without you knowing anything else about the game, if I said, hey, yeah, we've got a few injuries on our side, but that's what Seattle's going to be missing, do you like our chances more going into the game?
I did. I changed my prediction from last week, and I predicted 2-1. On the day of the game, because you run down some of those names that were injured: Rothrock, Morris, Menunu, and De La Vega, and I thought that we did have a chance, and also their form, going into this game was nothing really to write home about. I mean, they had just dropped a 2-1 loss at Real Salt Lake. So, Jake, this just feels like a blown opportunity.
It really does. I thought I predicted 1-1. I thought I had pretty confident thoughts about that. But we just gotta figure out the goal scoring, which is it's going to be a challenge all season. We've talked about it endlessly so far, but man, where are the goals? We need them.
We definitely do, guys. We've thrown our recaps score bug up on the screen. So the only goal coming in the 47th minute, we'll get to that goal from Kalani Kosarienzi from Seattle. We'll get to that and the mistake that led to it. And guys, it's usually in road games just that one goal that changes everything. But let's talk about the first half first. So first half saw St. Louis really having the better of play. I just kind of ran through and counted about 10 moments of really solid transitional play, which is great. It means that we're able to get through Seattle's mid block. That was the kind of what the formation, not the formation, but the style of play. They were defending in a 4-2-4 mid block. But we could play through it in transition. We did. The problem was we had 10 solid transitions from defending in the back, getting the ball into the final third, but only like 2 or 3 of those ended up in shots. That's the first troubling thing that I saw.
And not even great shots either, from what I saw. I know Toykert had one outside the box. I mean, it was good to see Toykert out there. He looked quicker than he had been, all last year. He was battling injury last year. And I mean, Jake, he was probably our best attacker, but that's not saying much.
Yeah, I think he was the best player on the field for us and in the first half. We saw a toy shirt that we hadn't seen in maybe a year and a half. So I liked what I saw from him in that first half.
No, absolutely. The biggest thing for him, and I think this is what we want, we're hoping. So this is the thing. We've heard Johan DeMay talk a lot about player profiles, right? In trying to fit different profiles and get different things within this system. Saying Ben, we know, is a guy who's very speedy. He is more likely to be the guy breaking with runs in behind. Toy Shirt brings a completely different element. Like, I know from when we first brought him in, right, he was playing underneath João Klaus, and he was kind of that poacher. But we've seen him be able to tuck inside, and in this game especially, he'd get onto the ball, and he had at least 1 or 2 really good long carries from the midfield line to the 18 almost, really helping set up a play. And I think he even set up, if I recall correctly, what was one of City's best scoring chances in the first half. It was the highest quality shot chance they had in the game from Marcel Hartl in the 36th minute. So, but guys, that's kind of what you want to see, though. You want to see somebody actually take on a defender or two and make those line breaking runs, right? So that's good. That's what we want from Toy Shirt.
And that was that. If there's one concern I have with the 3 players that were out there, is that neither one of them really profiles as a beat the defender type. Betcher is a poacher. Yes, he'll try to break behind the line, but like he's not going to be like Celio and beat his defenders one-on-one. I mean, you have to get him the ball first of all, and unfortunately, that was one reason why he looked pretty invisible Saturday night, and I believe the analytics kind of reflect that. You have Marcel Hartl, who is he's got his skill set obviously, but and then Seti, as we said, just doesn't just brings that kind of different element. So like I'm wondering, I have concerns, guys, over this formation. I brought it up like last week when we were talking about City 2, how well the 3-4-3 worked last week, where you have 2 wingers instead of 2 attacking 10s. And so far, and again, City 2 looked great again against Minnesota United, but I'm just kind of worried, guys, about this formation, and I think it just kind of reflects some of the concerns I think a lot of us had, and is that, do we have the personnel that can make this truly work, especially if our wingbacks are going to be pretty ineffective.
Well, and so I think the wingbacks, that became the glaring story of the second half, in my opinion, and we can talk about that as we shift, later through the first half as well. Tom, I think the takeaway that I have, and it goes back to your point there, is if a team sits low, much like we have in the past, we don't know what to do, even regardless of who's on the field. All our answer has always been chuck it wide, pray for a cross, and we've never seen anybody be willing to do that. And Jake, I don't know how we fix it.
I don't either. Honestly, it's going to be a challenge. I mean, this season's going to have ups and downs, like we've discussed as well, endlessly. But we need just I don't know how to fix it. I hope DeMay and Ray do, but
Well, and keep in mind, we are having to fix this while playing against our toughest opposition that we will see all year. Like, you know, anyone can look at the first few games of our schedule, and including LAFC coming up, and just be like, this is quite an environment to, learn a new system in and get that going. I mean, I saw the, comment earlier. We had 62% possession. So, like, at least that's working, Jeremy, where it does seem like that, our possession-oriented style is being implemented, and also that high press whenever we give up possession. But it is glaring at this point to me, Jeremy, just how we just do not have answers in the final third.
Well, yeah, and here's the thing. Don't get me wrong. I love seeing us be comfortable on the ball. Several times during the broadcast, they talked about it when I was doing my rewatch. But possession without a point, possession without an outcome means nothing. It's just a number. And so, I could sit in the same spot all day and say, I was at work, and if I didn't do anything, it doesn't move the needle. If they aren't scoring goals or doing anything useful with the ball, I don't care how much you have it. So, I mean, I think as we kind of transition, it was scoreless at the break. Again, through 39 minutes, they had only had one opportunity. So the defense was not tested against a Seattle team missing a lot of weapons. The only time they really threatened in the first half was on a real direct attack in the 39th minute. And that was it. They had a shot from, I think it was Rusnak at the top of the box, got onto one, but it forced Berkey into a save. But honestly, for the entirety of the game, outside of the goal, that's really about the only time Berkey was called into action. It was scoreless at the break. We go into the second half, and 2 minutes into the second half, the goal comes. Basically, Seattle get on the front foot, get the ball into the final third. The first two, I think there were 2 or 3 attempts into the box for Seattle, crossing it in. We skirted that danger, but then they get a ball from Conrad Vollum. And Tom, I will jump to you here in a sec. Vollum makes a turnover, and it ends up in a goal through the form of Kalani Kosiriense, and it was just over from there.
And once again, shout out to our man behind the curtain, Chris Gebhardt, because he posted the breakdown video of what happened with the Conrad Vollum pass. And so it was a situation where, it was, Vollum was, doing a good job tracking down the ball, tracking down Ferreira, and he chased him down, regained possession. And I watched this back a few times. It is very clear that Vollum is boxed in where he is, because you would like to have that front outlet to at least just hoof it forward and, get it out of the way. But literally, he doesn't have that because Tolo is right in his grill, basically. So his only 2 options, and again, Chris did a great job breaking this down, either the near pass to Orozco or, trying to pass it right into the mixer where there's a lot of green shirts and, a lot of red shirts, to be fair. But ideally, you're thinking maybe he gets it out to Durkin, who can, clear it away. So that's too risky. So Vollum makes the correct move. And I want to stress that. He makes the correct move in trying to get it out to Orozco. The problem is that Orozco, his momentum is going the wrong way. And he does not appear to be where Vollum thinks he'll be, because Vollum is not making eye contact with Orozco because his body is turned. And Orozco, by the time that he gets the ball fed to him, he's too far, close to the touchline to where when that pass goes to where Vollum thinks he is, Orozco is too far off to make that adjustment, and so that leads to Ferreira regaining the possession, and finds and then it's just an easy tuck in from there. I mean, to me, and this, I mean, this was a case of just it was just unfortunate, just because again, you're thinking Volum's, expecting Orozco to be where he is, and he's not. And I wonder if that's a chemistry thing, or if it was just Orozco just not having good positioning. Because I felt when I watched it, maybe it's too harsh, that Orozco should have maybe played a little bit more out towards goal instead of going to the touchline to give Volum that outlet.
Jake, let me ask you. So, Tom, you laid out a nice couple of options referring to Chris's video. But, Jake, my question to you, why not just put your foot through it? If you don't know that you can make that pass, why not just put a foot through it and put it out for a throw-in?
Exactly. Yeah, you've got to be better if you're Wallem. I feel like I'd be less harsh on him if he was still a lone player than now, because we paid that very exorbitant fee for him. And I'm just like, please be better with the ball.
Yeah, I mean that's a moment that I'm sure he wished back. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, just kind of watching that game, even in the first half when we were there, I noticed, I think it was somewhere around the 30th minute, there was I'm going to call it an altercation of sorts between him and Nuhu. Nuhu was in Wallem's head all night, and that you just can't have that. Like, and I don't know if that contributed to this mistake. I would really hope not, because this was literally 2 minutes into the second half, guys.
Yeah, Wallem has got to be better.
Yeah, it has to be a lot better. And I will also say as well, I mean, it was a good goal by Costa Rienzi, because he got hot potatoed that pass from Ferreira and ends up kicking off his foot, smacking him in the face. And then he's still able to somehow control it and beat Edelman and still tuck it away. So it looked easier than it actually was.
Yeah, it was a very tidy finish through traffic. It got through a couple bodies, and Berkey just couldn't do anything about it. You can't discredit it. I think it was a .76 expected goals on target shot. So it's one of those that if for those who don't know, expected goals on target is the likelihood of a shot turning into a goal when it's on target. 76% of the chance that ball goes in of the time that ball goes in. So it's a nice finish. From there, guys, that really changed it though, as we're kind of running through the rest of this half. Seattle shifts to a low block, basically ceding all the possession. So again, going back to the 62%, it's inflated because they just said have it. They weren't afraid of what we're going to do. At that point, most of our transition game from the first half when they were in a mid-block goes away, and we're just going to start playing pass it wide. We did have chances. There was a nice chance in the 55th minute where there was an interception, a good high turnover, but the pass was under hit to Betcher, allowing Nuhu to recover and clear it behind. Betcher has another couple of chances in the next few minutes. Nothing comes of it. And then, guys, in the 57th minute, our newest DP comes in. Sergio Cordova makes his All-for-City debut in the 57th minute and immediately gets onto the ball, putting it into a dangerous spot where no one is. Are we ready to hear me say that a bunch more? Puts it into a dangerous area and no one is there? Because that's the rest of this game in a nutshell.
Is that our new drinking game?
It might as well be. Because it was far from the only one Cordova put in. But guys, the only thing I will say is that when we did start to see some success whipping it in, and is when we picked up the pace. It was around the 65th minute or so. We started playing a much noticeably faster tempo, which allowed our wingbacks to start to get some balls into the box, because for the first probably 15 minutes after that goal, we were occupying time in the final third just fine. Just couldn't get anything out of it. More chances come. Chances from Hartle, Baumgartel, McSorley comes on as a sub in the 78th minute. But guys, I mean, again, possession without purpose. I don't know what we do to get a goal. Do we have faith that this team can effectively cross the ball?
Well, I'm watching Rafael Santos. I mean, and I feel so bad because he looked so encouraging the first two games, but he only connected on one of 10 crosses the whole game. And if you're watching that, you're just seeing that it's just, again, like you said, feeds the ball into the box, no one is there, or he's just errant, and it's a concern. To me, the second half can be summed up by the very first play of the game where you have the kickoff that goes out wide to Santos and he's just not there to, he goes over his foot and just, misses him completely. To me, it felt like a euphemism for, what ended up happening in this game where you just were not getting that quality of service in the box. And to be fair, Jeremy, we've never done well against the low block since this club has existed. And so, and when you're already struggling to connect in the final third and connect in the box, and a good team like Seattle goes into a low block, even though yes they're banged up, it's still Seattle, and Brian Schmetzer builds a very deep squad, and it is what it is.
I will say at least Santos is throwing crosses into the box, unlike Wallum, where he's just going and passing back, being a pass back merchant every time. So I'm glad they're at least trying that. May not be working effectively, but at least they're trying that on that left side.
So, guys, I mean, from there, the clock just runs out on City. No chances after the game. So, again, we've talked a bunch tonight. Before we get into the next segment of our breakdown, I think we should hear from Yohan Demay, who talked about the struggles and his perspective on those struggles in this game.
I think we created a lot of danger that we didn't convert enough into clear opportunities. So that's my way to look back at the game. But again, like looking at the performance, quite happy with where we're at tonight. So that's a little bit of a mixed feeling between the performance of the group and of course the results, that are two different things at the moment.
So, Tom, Jake, do we have anything to be positive about? He's positive about the performance. What do you guys take away from it?
I mean, there are positives you can take away. Seti Toykert coming back and looking very up for it, is encouraging. He was my X factor, going into this season as someone that I feel had something to prove this year. And, remembering that, he did come over, from Hanover 96 a couple years ago with, some real expectation to him. It's just his 2025 got derailed. So, he takes his chance. And like I said, even though our attack was about as effective in the final third as Italy's invasion of France in World War II, it was still, Seti was encouraging. But then the other guy that I would say jumped out to me is Dante Polvara. Dante Polvara, I felt just in the times I was watching him, this was his most comfortable game in his role, at center back. And he had a couple chances. He was progressing the ball fairly well, but I was, after being a little concerned about Polvara and his ability to adapt to being an MLS center back, I'm not saying that he's the final product at all, not at this point, but I thought he took some steps forward Saturday night. And we talked about this last week, Jeremy, during the final third, about Polvara, and do you keep throwing him out there? Well, how else do you learn? It's kind of a trial by fire situation. And you just heard from Yohan Demay, kind of admitting that, there was positive things to take, from the game, but there's still a work in progress. It's still very much a work in progress. And Dante Polvara is just one of them, but I thought I thought it was encouraging.
Jake, did you take any positives or have a standout player that caught your attention in this one?
Standout player, definitely Seti. But I thought the defense as a whole, outside of Wallum's misplay, had looked pretty sound, and I just really enjoyed the Seti and the defense. Yeah.
I'm going to throw out another name to you guys, because this is one during the preseason when the trade or the cash for went down that we were told can't move the ball, but in this one did it very well. Daniel Edelman. He was involved in a lot of the progressive plays in the first half. I really liked what I saw from him with his ball movement. But guys, we're We're going to move ahead a little bit, just kind of put a little bit of a bigger picture on you, because I do think there's one other conversation to be had about City, who are now falling to 0-1-2 to start the season. It's a bigger hole than you might think. In 2025, there was no team with a record equal to or worse than that made the playoffs, like the Galaxy, Houston Dynamo, New England Revolution, Toronto FC, Sporting KC, Montreal. All of those were better or worse than what City's mark is now. None of them made the playoffs, Tom.
No, they didn't. But, as Timo Baumgartel said, after the game, 3 games into the season, if we now throw our head down and say everything is lost, I think that is not the right mentality. And this is a guy, again, he's a veteran. He's played a long time. And he continued saying, we as a team, we are believing in our way. We knew that there would be difficult moments in the first games. I see confidence growing in this team. That's the most important thing, end quote. So how big of a hole is it? I mean, look. Again, I go back to the fact. I mean, I keep thinking about your graphic, Jeremy, that you made showing our first opponents, and you can't look at them and think that we're going to get a lot of points out of it. We're just not. All you're looking for at this point is progress, cohesiveness, and reasons to be positive. And Timo's coming right out there and saying that he's seeing the confidence growing. It's game 3, so I mean, I think we saw last year, Jeremy, where we dug ourselves a hole for much of the season, and then David Critchley, all the way up until the final month, still has us sniffing the playoffs. It's not impossible to go on a run, especially if you're looking at the way the season is being set up, to where we got the World Cup break, and then we come out of that World Cup break playing just the absolute most cupcake schedule, for the first 5 games out of anyone in the league. I mean, it's not too wild for me to think that we could do a dead cat bounce and find ourselves right back in the thick of things.
No, I agree. And so, Tom, Jake, I'm going to ask you the question that prompted that quote from Timo, because I think it's worth discussing briefly. It was a question from Drew Young, Utes Media. It's basically saying, in short, how do you stay positive? Is it time to give up on this system? So through 3 games, 1 goal, among the best in generating XG in the league as a team, but nothing to show for it points-wise other than a draw. That probably should have been a win. Is it too soon to throw in the towel on the DeMay system and make changes? Tom, Jake, who wants to go first?
It's not too soon. Or no, actually, sorry, I misinterpreted that question.
It's okay.
Yeah, I don't think we should get rid of the system. Especially like we've mentioned on the show before. It's game 3. I mean, like, just way too soon.
Yeah, it's just growing pains at this point, and also the pains of not having a clinical striker, that after we sent Klaus to LA, and it's just I'm really kind of curious to, speaking of growing and getting confidence. Like, again, we got our first taste of Cordova Saturday. It was 30 minutes. Didn't have a whole lot of chance to impress, but I'm really wondering at this point when we actually shift to Cordova away from Betcher at this point, because, again, Betcher, poor guy, just cannot buy a goal to save his life. And but granted, he didn't have much great opportunities, Jeremy, to do it Saturday.
No, and he wasn't in a lot of dangerous places. He was involved more in the link up than he was in terms of the opportunities to finish. But I think once we see more fitness, we're going to get Cordova, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him possibly get a start. I'm not going to lie. I know it's not fair to evaluate him against the game in this game, because it's 30 minutes, like you said, Tom, and it's a low block. But so at that point, you can't really say, well, this is him, this isn't him. But I think I saw enough of him saying, you know what, I do want to see more. So I wouldn't be against him slotting in for Betcher in the next one. Jake, Tom, any final takeaways before we start to talk about something a little happier from the weekend?
I'm team start Cordova next week, so.
Yeah, I am too, honestly. And I'm so sorry to anyone that is listening and watching right now. This has been kind of a sad episode so far. So let's make it happy with some City 2 talk. And so City 2, they are now 2-0 this season. They beat Minnesota United FC 3-0. Goals from Parker Alt, as well as a couple from Makai Joyner. And couple of notes, things that jumped out at me. It was again the 3-4-3 that they ran in the first game with two wingers. That was in force. Joyner started out as a right winger, I believe, but then he kind of cut inside a lot of times, almost played like an attacking 10. You also had Mbake fall in the lineup as well, which, I did notice Saturday he wasn't on the bench for City, and I found that kind of curious given DeMay's comments about how Mbake might be ready to go soon. But Mbake was in the lineup. Kyle Hebert was also back in the lineup as well. And someone that really stood out to me, Jake, was Palmer Alt. So Palmer Alt, he had a goal, he had an assist. He looked very quick and he looked dangerous the whole game.
I
Palmer.
love it.
Did I say Parker Alt? I Palmer Alt. My bad.
Yeah,
I'll get it eventually.
Palmer Alt has looked the part of a first team trialist. I mean, he's maybe even looked a little bit better than that. But I think this whole team for City 2, we all thought they were gonna be a little bit worse because they were getting younger and all that good stuff. They've arguably gotten better. Like, I love what I'm seeing from them.
I mean, it's hard to. I mean, Jeremy, it's hard to not watch them and not think that they have actually improved and gotten more exciting.
They've gotten exciting. I'll tell you, the guy that jumped out at me very quickly was Barkley. They were building up, especially in the first half, through him a lot. And Jack Wagner sliding in and making the impact he did as well. Those two names jumped out at me, especially in the first half of that one. But to your point, Tom, about being exciting, they are eighth in open play expected goals so far this season. They're fourth in goals scored, and they're not too bad defensively. They're the sixth fewest shots allowed and third in PPDA, so they're still playing that high-pressing soccer that St. Louis knows and loves. So David Critchley's got his boys playing well.
Yeah, and they haven't allowed a goal.
No, they haven't. Yeah, 2 clean sheets for McPartland, who, Jake, I thought he looked a little more settled down this game from what I saw.
I was actually just about to say that. Yeah, he looked a lot better.
He did. Remember, he's young, and he's going to be off to, I believe, St. Louis University in the fall, right?
Correct.
And then real quick, Tom, you mentioned Mbake. I do want to throw a quick shout to Matt Baker from Flyover Footy. He had on his recap today from training, Mbake, DeMay talked about Mbake fall, saying that they can't evaluate him based on the City 2 game just because the level of Next Pro is not, doesn't speak a lot to what he'll do at the MLS level. But that being said, I will tell you, I got some pushback from some folks when I put this on X, but I was concerned about Mbake. He was involved in like 2 of the best chances that Minnesota had in the opening 45. Either one was a turnover from him, and the other one came when he was flat-footed while Minnesota was in transition. So I was a little concerned that he was slow to react, but others are saying, hey, it's his first game in months. Do you guys have concern about what was supposed to be one of the bigger signings to bolster the City backline?
I'm not concerned for that last reason you mentioned. It's just like we're 3 games into the season for the first team. It's way too soon to judge. He played 45 minutes. Like, it's way too soon to judge.
Yeah, and it was his first game back, and he hadn't been playing very much over in Spain. So, I don't blame him at all for being a little rusty. And in fact, actually, maybe having him start out with City 2, was a good move, for DeMay and Critchley just to, get him up to speed on things. But in case you're wondering when the next City 2 game is going to be, it's on the road. They're going to be on the road this Sunday at Ventura County. You can watch the game on YouTube and OneFootball at 7 p.m. Just follow the MLS Next Pro YouTube. And you can watch it on there. It's the better way to watch. And then they will be back home a week later, Sunday, March 22nd, with a new start time of 1 p.m. against LAFC 2. So if you want to check out City 2, that is your next chance to do so. And speaking of LAFC, go ahead, Jake.
I do want to actually say that I believe that Ventura County match is a road match.
Yeah. I mentioned that they're at Ventura County.
Sorry.
Sorry about that. Yeah, they're at Ventura County Sunday, so you have to watch that on YouTube and OneFootball. But then we mentioned LAFC too. Jeremy, let's go ahead and take a look at what we have to look forward to from Denny Bwanga and friends.
Yeah, it's a way too early preview of LAFC 2, and it's an uphill climb for St. Louis City. LAFC 2 yet to drop a game in all competitions. The stats you see on your screen if you're watching us live on YouTube, those are the MLS only stats. They are 3-0-0. And that includes wins over Inter Miami, FC Dallas, and Houston Dynamo Dallas was last week. And they've also got a pair of wins in CONCACAF Champions Play, which is a competition they're in, and also playing in that game, or that competition rather, tonight against Alajuelense, the former Club of City assistant head coach.
Nice job with that.
Marcelo Sarvis. So thanks. I practiced. But no, guys, it is going to be an uphill climb. LAFC, 9 points on the season, a +6 goal differential. Comparative stats and PPDA, they hold the ball a little bit more than City does, and they've got two in form, at least two guys, maybe three if you want to call David Martinez in form. So just real quick, Denny Bwanga has 4 goals and 1 assist in 5 games. Son Heung-min, 1 goal, 5 assists in first 5 games, and Martinez that I just mentioned, he's got 3 in their 5. So it's going to be a huge test for this City side rather on Saturday in LA.
I'll be very fascinated to see how our 3 in the back does against them. How will Jazeel Orozco, Timo Baumgartel, and Dante Polvara do against their attacking trio?
And you bring up a good point there, because after, City 2 this past weekend, I'm not sure Mbake Fall is ready, for the starting lineup at this point. So we might see that trio once again. So I'm with you in that. I'm really curious because, again, I had a discussion earlier, Heung-min Son plays as more of a 10, as a central 10, and Bwanga plays on the left side. So Orozco's going to have a long night. Conrad Valm's going to have a long night, assuming he's going to be starting out on the right side. And Polvara, we'll see how much he has to deal with Heung-min Son, but of course, it's a tough test this weekend, and quite frankly, of the first 4 games, it's the one that I'm least optimistic about.
So to that point, Tom, I'll just quickly ask you and Jake, predictions for the scoreline. Do you predict we get anything from this game in LA?
Nope. I am, at the risk of being kicked off this show for rampant negativity, I am going to predict 3-0 LAFC. I am not confident.
Well, Tom, if you think you're negative, I have not predicted a win all year for City. So
I did.
I'm going 4-0 LAFC. Just got to one up you there too.
So, Tom, you're calling it. So the last time we played LAFC in LA, it was a 3-0 loss. So that would be a run. We're basically saying we're going to run it back. I don't see us getting points from this. This is one that I'm confident saying we don't get anything. I'll take a 2-0 loss. Here's the deal. I want to see more than anything. I'm okay with a loss. It's early days for Deme. I don't want to get blown out, and I don't want to see the mentality of the team drop. I'm okay with a loss as long as we are keeping our heads about us, and as long as we make it challenging and difficult. Like, let's make LAFC earn this, but I want to go in with that being the expectations. And a point, I would be absolutely great with a point if we can get it.
I mean, I love your confidence, Jeremy. I just don't see it, and a lot of the chat doesn't see it. Ray Kirsting predicting 4-1 LAFC. Kayla predicting 3-1 LAFC. Breakfast King agreeing with me 3-0. Fet Lord Colton in the chat saying 3-2 City. So he is our ray of sunshine in the chat today. Thank you so much for that, because we needed some smiles.
And real quick, just to give you that little cherry on top, LAFC is another one of the teams we've never beaten.
Yeah. And also, do I need to remind you what Denny Bwanga usually does at St. Louis City?
Patrick City, baby.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it goes, and hopefully we'll have a happier episode for you next Tuesday, where we talk about City and their match at LAFC. Just a bit of a heads up, I will not be on this show next week. As you know, Dogtown is the home of St. Patrick's Day celebrations, and so it is. I'm not going to be here, but I am proud to say that we are going to have Ethan Thornton from St. Louis City Boys in my stead to take this chair and carry us along with Jeremy and Jake. So we hope you join us next week. But again, before we close up the city segment, Jeremy, Jake, any final thoughts?
So I'm going to do my best to be as positive as I can. We are winless on the season. We have 1 point in 3. And if everything goes as we're all kind of predicting, it'll be 1 point in 4 after the weekend. I just want to put out a call for patience. I understand the frustrations from a large part of this fan base. Trust me, I want wins. I want to be entertained, but I want wins and points more than you. I'm tired of being a spoon contender. I hear you, but more than anything, I think we have to get this right. The revolving door of coaches and system installations needs to stop. We've got to give DeMay, if he's going to be the guy, and I don't think Corey Ray is one to pull the plug early, and I certainly wouldn't, because there have been, as you guys have both said, plenty of positives to take away from the first 3 weeks, despite all the results. I think we need just a deep breath and some patience and have a little bit of faith, because I think more than anything, Corey Ray, Yohan DeMay, the whole back room, it's just they've got to get it right, and it's going to take time. And so I just think I want to call for a reminder for patience as we work through this together.
Let him cook.
This is the Ray. This is the Ray. And I also want to, before we wrap up this portion, I wanted to just drop a correction as well. I want to, first of all, again, condolences to the Leuven family. As Jerry Hayes pointed out, Edu Leuven does not have kids. So I wanted to apologize for making that mistake earlier. But this is going to do it for this portion of Red Smoke Rising. I am your soccer zombie, Tom Franklin.
I am your statistician and capo, Jeremy Clements.
And I am your Pedro Stan, Jake Henry.
Well, it's a good thing we're talking about Bosnians pretty soon, because this has been Red Smoke Rising, and remember, alignment. Alrighty, so now we are going to be shifting gears to again more happy subject. Let's talk BOHFS, and to do that, we are going to bring on some very special guests representing BOHFS tonight. We have owner and gaffer Alen Bradaric. And Alen, how are we doing tonight?
What's up, guys? No, doing great. Just finished coaching, actually. Hanging out at the new Sport 360 soccer facility. You might see us here this summer if you come out. But, yeah.
And just for folks that may not be aware, that is the Muller Park facility, right?
Yes, sir. Used to be.
Yep, it used to be, but it's been taken over. And we've got a couple of your players with us here tonight. We have Brian Bement as well as Cole Gerstenberger. And Brian, how are we doing tonight?
Good, man. How you doing?
Pretty well. I'm glad to be over the city portion of our show, even though we are a St. Louis City podcast, because St. Louis City can be a little tough to talk about lately, but your game is a lot more positive. So, Cole, how are we doing tonight?
Is he on mute?
Cole, are you muted? I think Cole might be having some connection issues. We're not quite hearing him, but we have Alen and we have Brian here. So, of course, in case you don't know, BOHFS are going to be playing Union Omaha in the U.S. Open Cup coming up on Wednesday, March 18th. It'll be at Lindenwood University, the first amateur side for St. Louis to be in the Open Cup proper for some time. And clarify for me, Alen, were you on the last amateur club that made the Open Cup proper? Because I know you used to play for St. Louis Lions.
So, Mike Utley and myself, we were both in those teams where we played Minnesota Thunder of the USL back in the day.
Okay. How'd that go?
That was back in 2007, 2008.
Okay, so it's been a little while. It's definitely been a little while. So, Alen, we'll start with you. How are the vibes with the club, and how has preparations gone?
It's been I mean, we've had our challenges like everyone else. We've had a few injuries, couple newborns, but and then rotated close to 50 players in our last 6 friendly games. But the last 3 games have been a lot better. We've had most of our core players back, and I mean, it's the team looks so much different when we have those 13, 14 guys that have taken us here versus mixing it up. And if that's told me anything, that it said that we have to keep the original guys in, and if we're gonna add anyone, then only if somebody had to leave. So that's what happened. But I think our strength is that the guys are so close knit. I mean, they all hang out in between soccer. They play on their Veta leagues, the dueling stuff, and coach together. So we have a really good bond, and it's just really important to keep the same core together at all times. But yeah, but here we are.
Yep. And so, Brian, Cole, you guys can kind of talk about, your side of things, how preparations have gone, and how do you feel vibes are going? We'll start with Brian.
Yeah, I mean, I think our vibes are pretty high going into this. Obviously, we didn't really have a whole lot of expectations going into qualifying. So, I mean, we came in pretty open minded, just taking one game at a time, and I mean, we're kind of just taking that same path and riding it into the Open Cup. I mean, we've looked good the last few friendlies, and I think we're gonna kind of hit our stride in a time when they're first starting their USL season. I think this is a good time to match up with them.
Jake?
Hey, Alan, it's been a minute since I've seen you. Just wanted
Woodland,
to
right?
say, yeah, it's been since the Woodland friendly. I just
That
thought
wasn't
it
a
out.
friendly.
Oh, sorry, yeah, the Woodland match.
Qualifier.
But yeah, I just wanted to ask, how is the pizza coming along?
Man, we never got it. We waited till about midnight, and no, we waited till about 11 something, and we just ordered some pizza at the hotel. Had some pizza, had a few beers, and had a couple more beers, and called it a night. But we never got that pizza that was 15 minutes away when the game ended.
And I think one of the players brought an Xbox, right? So you guys were just, eating pizza and drinking beer and playing Xbox, right?
He brought it, but I don't think anybody played it unless
No.
he did.
Love that.
Yeah. Hey, some players brought their Xbox, but not their driver's license to be checked into the game.
Yes. We won't
Oh,
name
man.
names to protect the innocent, but well, you already had a short bench that game. So that was one play. That was one player you couldn't play, and then you had another one where they thought he never registered for you, and that
Yep.
you kind of got a hard lesson on the how quirky Open Cup registration can be.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess it was a good challenge for us because we didn't let it, like, we could have used all of those things as an excuse, but we're just like, hey, we've got 11, like, let's go out there and give it our best shot and see what they've got. And I mean, maybe having those two things happen right before kickoff kind of brought the guys in a little bit tighter. I think it worked out at the end.
Yeah, that's quite possible. Jeremy?
Yeah. So real quick, as a major fan of the U.S. Open Cup, and for those who might be tuning in that don't know what that is, it's the oldest running continental tournament in the United States. It's our version of the FA Cup. My question, and I'd like to hear this kind of from all three of you. Whoever goes first is up to you. What does it mean to not only yourself but to your club and to be representing the city of St. Louis in this way? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I'll start us off. I've been lucky enough to play in the Open Cup for a handful of other clubs. Actually got to play against St. Louis FC when I was with Forward Madison, the year that they made their big run in the Open Cup. So shout out to those guys. But yeah, they knocked us out in that. But no, I've been lucky enough to play in the Open Cup, but this one just hits so much different. Not only because I mean I'm at home. I got my family and friends could watch us qualify. I'm gonna have I don't know how much of my family and friends that are going to be at our Open Cup game on March 18th. But yeah, it just means so much more, and especially because we had to earn our way in. In the past, any USL side, NASL side, you're in.
And
And
Cole,
so
this
this one, it just makes a bigger difference.
and Cole, this is going to be your first Open Cup experience. So how are you feeling going into it? Still having some connection issues with Cole, unfortunately. But Alen, I mean, I want to talk about just the well, it looks like we might have lost Alen as well. So he's back. He's back. Technical difficulties. You love to see it. But Alen, getting over to you. So I want to talk about, first of all, just, your history, BOHFS and getting into the Midwest Premier League. And, last year was really your first taste of that level of soccer. But I want to jump ahead to Open Cup. What made you decide to enter BOHFS into the Open Cup? Was it the success that you had in the Midwest Premier League and that gave you the confidence, or was this something you had in your back pocket for a while?
No, for me, it was, I mean, just looking at the core group of players, none of them are getting younger. And I just think that let's go play one more game. Let's see what happens. We've built this team together. We've all gotten to know each other really well over the summer. Everybody gets along. Let's just keep the ride going and see what happens. We had no expectations to. I mean, we had no, we didn't go in thinking like, okay, we're gonna go win these next 3-4 games. It was just, let's just go play. Let's see what happens. Let's do our best. And no matter what happens, let's be proud of each other and our efforts. And that's how we ended up where we are. But as for the U.S. Open Cup as well, honestly, I haven't thought about the history and representing St. Louis and any of those things that much. To me, it was mainly, some of my good friends on the team. I mean, Chad Bond, for example, he had to retire not on his terms. I've coached Eric and Jackson back in the JUCO, and we had a heartbreaking regional final loss. We experienced that together. I mean, several of those players, we're all tied together in one way or another, and it was just to have those guys get to experience this with all the added benefits. I mean, with CBS coming out, Paramount Plus, with having a game that's actually meaningful instead of just playing a rec tournament with friends and like, hey, yeah, we won, congrats. But like, this is actually a meaningful game. That just means a lot to me to be able to share it with everybody that's been part of it.
Well, and Cole
yeah.
Gristenberger has been a part of it, and you get to play in your first Open Cup match proper, Cole. So I think you got your technical issues resolved. How are you feeling going into next week?
Is my mic working now?
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear.
There you go.
Awesome. Yeah, sorry about that. Feeling good. Like they said, we're kind of just playing on a lot of friendlies, trying to stay fit, but not risk any injuries at the same time. Really kind of proud to be able to represent St. Louis in some sort of fashion. I think it's just awesome to also have the game in St. Louis. Just be able to, have a bunch of friends and family come out to watch. It's just a really cool experience. And like Alen was saying, in a game that actually means something and is not just a rec friendly like we were playing 3 years ago. To be able to have the team come together now and be able to play in actual meaningful games, even on like a national level, it's really cool, really fun. So.
No, and of course, it's going to be, of course, Brian, you've played against pro teams before. Cole, this will be your first chance going up against an opponent probably like Union Omaha. So how you feeling about going up against, a pro-level team?
Good. I mean, to be honest, there's not too many levels between us and them. So I don't think we're going into it thinking, oh my gosh, we're going to play Barcelona. We're going into it thinking we're going to play guys similar to us. We believe in the guys that we have, our core group. We believe in our game plan, and we're just going to go out like we got nothing to lose. So.
Well, and you've really had that mentality, throughout this whole qualifying run. So you had to beat 3 teams to get here, and I'll go ahead and recap those for those that may not be familiar with your story. You had to play 2 games on the road right off the bat. Well, you had a first-round bye, first of all, and then you had to play 2 games, on the road right away. So you played Woodland FC in Kansas City. So St. Louis beats Kansas City, woohoo! And now Woodland FC is now in the Midwest Premier League themselves. Interesting plot twist. They weren't last year. And then you travel to Omaha Street and beat them because it's just a requirement that semi-pro games between St. Louis and Omaha clubs have to be played in Omaha, like ATAR and Lenoma last year. And then, of course, it's a requirement that Union Omaha plays their Open Cup matches against St. Louis clubs in St. Louis because it's the rules. And that's just how this always has to work out. But then, after beating those 2 teams, you came home, played at St. Mary's, hosted Chicago House, and won. So, Alen, I want to talk to you first about that Chicago House match. So this is a Peter Wilt-owned club. They have big backing. They're a former NISA Pro club, and they're a club that has been to the Open Cup dance before. But you had a loud and loyal crowd at St. Mary's when you took on Chicago House, and you beat them. So take me back to November and that experience. What was that day like for you?
Oh, it was amazing. Probably my favorite moment by far with our group of guys. I mean, we had so many friends, family at that game, some former players, and just I don't think anybody gave us a chance to like. I felt the vibe was that we should just be happy and content that we get to play Chicago House, and I mean, Peter is. I cannot say. I mean, he's an amazing person. He just oozes class and just an amazing guy. I mean, I don't know how else to say it, but some of his other technical staff, um, I would just like to thank them for the comments they made before the game, and I think that gave us all the fuel we needed to push through when the tide wasn't in our favor in the second half. Um, so yeah, no, it was great. I think that it showed that there. I guess there was talk that amateur soccer in St. Louis or in Missouri in general can't compare to Chicago, and we know they have a lot more leagues and teams and all of that. But I mean, we proved them wrong, and I think for the whole game, minus maybe the last 5 minutes, we were better and looked more control. And people talk about preparation, and they made a lot of comments that they would train 4 or 5 days a week. They were watching they were watching our game film of Omaha and Woodland the night before, and the comments about are you sure you're ready to play in a game like this, and do you guys mind if there's champagne spilled on your field after the game? It was just perfect Chicago attitude, and St. Louis. It was just perfect all the way around.
And I have a fun story to just interject real quick on that. So Peter Wilt, I had talked to him the day before the game, and he had traveled with the team on the bus, and they stayed in just south of 44. And he asked me if I could pick him up the night before to go make a champagne run at a local liquor store. And so I understand he got his champagne. I don't think they were drinking any on the bus ride back. But real quick, Brian, I just want to go to you because you scored against Chicago House. So what was that experience like?
Yeah, no, it was fun. I know Peter actually very well. He was there and helped start Madison when I was there, and I played against the house when I was in Chattanooga. So I've got a pretty good relationship with Peter. So Peter, thank you for the champagne. We enjoyed that after the game. So I do appreciate that. But no, it was awesome. I didn't realize how many fans we truly had until I scored and heard the roar of everyone. And yeah, no, it felt amazing, especially looking up and seeing so many faces that I know from either my family, people I play with every day. Yeah, it was a blast.
Jeremy?
So, guys, there might inevitably be someone in our audience tonight watching who's never seen BOHFS play, who don't know what BOHFS is. So, I've got two questions. The first one, Alan, what is a BOHF? Can you tell me that, please?
I mean, it's started as an inside joke amongst a few friends, but basically it's buddies, homies, friends. Um, yeah, nothing, nothing
Okay.
malicious, nothing derogatory, as there were some theories about it. But no, it's just buddies or homies or
Okay. No, that's cool. And then for the guys, the players, if someone has never seen a BOHFS game, how would you describe your style of play to someone who's never seen it?
Can
I
we
can
want to
answer
start
that
off?
one. So I would say our style of play is honestly whatever the other team is going to give us. I feel like a lot of the games we play in, we know that we're going to start out being the underdogs. So maybe for the first half, we're sitting in more and kind of just feeling out the game, trying not to give up an early goal. And then that's when we kind of look around and say, okay, I think we're better than this team, and that's when we really start to play with the ball and just kind of get the ball out wide, get it to our big guys up top, and see what can happen. Um, but I think a big focus of ours is, especially for Wednesday, is not going to be to try and chase their game. Um, it's just going to be for us to kind of do our own thing, be okay with defending for periods of time, and then just kind of taking our counterattacks, our corners, our free kicks when we can take them. So.
Well, and you've had some pretty good players go through you even this last year. So James Stone, was your starting 9 last year. He is now playing in England in the non-leagues over there. I think he signed with a 6th-tier, 7th-tier team. I know he had signed with one club and then he moved. And then Stone Marion was actually on loan to BOHFS from the St. Louis City Academy. He scored a game-winning goal against St. Louis Development Academy, and then City decided, you know what, we're signing him up. We're signing him to a City 2 contract. He's ours. So he got to go out with a bang, literally. Jake, what do you got?
So we are a St. Louis City podcast, and I did want to ask. I saw you guys played the U19s. How did that friendly go?
Can I talk on that one?
Go for it.
Yeah. So like we said earlier, when we have our core versus adding 4 or 5 different guys, it completely changes things. We ended up losing that game 4-0. It was 1-0 at halftime. It was 1-0 in the 80th minute, and then we gave up 3 soft goals because we get away from what makes us successful. That game reminded me a little bit of when we played STLDA over the summer, where we get we get dragged out. It's like, okay, we can play. We get the ball in their third. We start knocking it. We start moving it. Then we lose it, and then we don't react quick enough to either break the play down or or get goal side, and then we just end up chasing 40, 50 yards back. And when you have several guys that are in their mid 30s, you can only sprint back so many times before you don't have it anymore. So no, it was 4-0. I thought the guys that normally play, like the core group of players, plus a Mateo kid, did really well. But some of the guys that didn't get much playing time or that we tried out didn't really quite fit Probably because they didn't spend enough time with the team, but yeah, it was 4-0. It was a good experience, but I think with our full squad, it's a completely different game.
Well, it definitely is. And, talking about how close knit the roster is, Brian and Cole, you guys can, take this one here as well. I mean, you guys all have known each other, for years, even beyond BOHFS. There's a pretty tight knit, ex-pro community, and also just the soccer community in general is very tight. So what does it mean to you guys that you're basically going to roll up against Union Omaha with the same roster more or less that got you here?
I mean, I think we all are kind of on the same page of like there's a reason we're here. So we gel together. I mean, when we played, we pretty much had our main group when we played against our friendly from the team from Kentucky, and I mean we're just moving it, creating so many chances and goals and opportunities, and you can just tell that when we have our core group, we have a confidence about us, and I mean we know that we can do things special because we've done it day in and day out in various leagues.
Yeah, and we have a question from the chat for you, Alen. How did you choose the new additions for next week's match?
Honestly, for me, it was mainly their attitude, and obviously they have to have ability. But there's a guy named Nadim. He's also a local guy. Played at Columbia College. Coaches at Gallagher. Just puts his head down, works hard. Um, has similar sense of humor with the locker room. Just a good guy, fits right in, and the understanding is you're probably not going to start, but you got to be ready because we're probably not fit enough to compete at that level for 90 minutes, and it's just he's all in. He's happy to be part of the team, and he wants to battle it out for the team. Another guy is Jack. Um, Griffiths. He played at Mobep towards the end. He started out at Drury, I believe. Left back, really smooth on the ball, fit. Also, just simple, basic player. Great attitude, and gets along with everybody on the team. Now, there's another 10 guys who've been training, who are have skills and all of that, but it's like we've got cover in certain positions. Like, I mean, I'm probably not going to change the center backs. We're not going to change the goalie. We know that Utley up top probably doesn't have 90 minutes in the tank, so it's like, okay, Nadim is there. Chad or Liam, one of them, probably can't go for 90 minutes, so we have some cover there. And then it's the main thing also was we don't want to disrupt anything. We don't want to bring anybody in that has any kind of ego about him, who's just using this as a pedestal to get to somewhere else. Because, man, I didn't. I mean, ever since that game against Chicago House, once we were in the cup, I'm getting emails, LinkedIn messages, agents, players, coaches that wouldn't give me the time of day 5 months ago that are offering players, with professional experience and top colleges and all of that. And it's yeah, that's all great, and it's amazing to be in those conversations. But I value, the camaraderie that our team has, and how well everybody gets along, how well everybody understands each other, and even after trying out all these different players and friendlies, it just always falls back to like, okay, so what? Even if we go down swinging, even if we have three guys on the bench, I know that these guys want to be here and they want to battle it out for one another. They want to, put their body on the line for each other, and that's kind of what ultimately made me decide to keep these two guys.
Now you say that, but then I'm going to ask, because you talked about getting offers for players and agents were talking to you that wouldn't otherwise talking to you. But
Yep.
you're no stranger to loaning players from St. Louis City. So Aaron Leak in the chat is asking if Josh Yarrow was available for loan for the Open Cup game. Would you take him?
Man, come on now. He's no better than Cole or Jackson. We don't sub the center backs unless they go down. And then we've got Jordan Clips. So sorry, Yarrow.
Oh
He's
man.
prone to make mistakes. We don't want that. No.
I was not expecting Alan to catch a body tonight on this show, but it happened. And as Jerry Hayes said, BOHFS culture can't be broken. But that's so
No.
funny. But I want to talk a little bit about the history of BOHFS real quick. So. I mean, we got St. Louis Scott Gallagher, Lou Few, St. Louis Development Academy used to be the former Sporting St. Louis, part of the Sporting KC, St. Louis Stars. You have a lot of reputable, more known, academies in this city. BOHFS, on the other hand, you joined the Midwest Premier League just last year, and it was your first foray into that level of soccer. So I want to ask you two questions. Number one, what were you doing with BOHFS before then, and what changed that led you to joining the Midwest Premier League?
Do you guys remember St. Louis Maritza of the UPSL from not too long ago?
Vaguely.
Okay, so there's a few of us that were on that team. We had a BOHFS team. We had a BOHFS team back then, and we got along really well with the Maritza guys. And the plan was to merge, to do it together. We drew out what each of our roles would be. Lucas Almeida and myself would have kind of ran the team, and the Maritza portion of it just stopped replying and stopped responding. And it was like, okay, we maybe Midwest Premier League will be something down the road, but not right now. So, and then I had a kid, so that was about a year and a half of no action. We played. I mean, we played AFC Colombia. Must have been in 22 under BOHFS. Yeah, it was Carl Hutter's last season actually in Lindenwood. They had a spring season game. The other team canceled. He called me and asked if we could play them. It was like 3-day notice. So I called a few of the guys, Chad, Liam, and a few others, and we played that game. And after it was like 4-3 or 3-3. And after the game, all the guys were like, "Man, why can't we do this more often?" And I was like, "You know what? Maybe we can." And so we just kept the group together, played the Lions reserve team a few times, AFC Colombia, and the goal was to merge with Maritza and then play next season. And obviously that never happened. And then had a kid, had a year of no action, and then my buddy in Spain reached out, and there's a elite U16 tournament. It's an invite only. Barcelona, Real Madrid, a couple national teams. He's like, "Hey, Alan, if you want to join, we can get you in." It's like, "All right, let me ask Scott Gallagher," and Gallagher didn't want to do it. And I was like, "Man, you know what? There's plenty of kids that could benefit from this. Let's just go as BOHFS. We'll go anyway. I don't care if I get in trouble." And we went to that tournament, had a great time, and we get back. It's middle of December, and Zach gives me a call. He's like, "Hey, man, would you guys be willing to join the Midwest Premier League? One of the teams just pulled out." And initially, I was thinking, you know what? There's no chance. I don't have anything ready. I don't have the funds for this. But um, the other side was like, when is the right time for anything? It's like there's an opportunity. You just have to go take it and roll with it. And I was like, you know what, Zach? put us down. I don't know what we're gonna look like, or what we're gonna have, or what uniforms we'll have, or what players. But let's give it a go. And yeah, so that was in December, and then come February, start talking to a few of the guys. And then by April, we had a little tryout, and yeah, and then we got it rolling in May. And
Yeah,
then fast forward a few months, here we are.
Yeah,
So
right here playing in the Open Cup, and you had a great season in the Midwest Premier League. You play, of course, Gateway South, which is going to be the Gateway East this coming year because of the volatility of lower league soccer. But you ended up finishing second in the division, behind Atar Belleville, who you actually beat in your first game in the league, 1-0. And I mentioned Atar, Brian. That is your former club. So I love those guys at Atar. For sure. Jeremy, you had a question for the players.
Yeah, I do. So again, we're a St. Louis City SC podcast, and we know the City SC family's gone through a tragic event with the passing of Ilona Leuven. So I wanted to ask, and not directly comparing anything that you guys have gone through in your own careers to what Edu is going through now. I want to preface that the question by saying that. But can you talk about the importance of the support that you get from your teammates when you do go through tough moments, whether it's on the field or in your personal life, and what that support means to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, those are people you normally see day, and especially in the case of Lewin, that he sees every single day. Probably shares multiple meals with them and all that. I had to take a leave of absence from a club just for some personal stuff I was going through as well, down in Chattanooga. And luckily, Jeremy Allenball was in charge down there, and I've known him since the club days. So we have a good relationship, and we talked throughout the whole process of me having to come back home and all that. And honestly, I wouldn't have been able to do it without people like that, the team, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, no, there's nothing more important than that, because I mean, at the end of the day, they really are your brothers. It's their extended family.
Yeah, absolutely. Cole, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I would agree with what Brian said. I don't have anything personally that I can think of. But even just thinking of just what if something were to happen, I know that I would have kind of all those guys to look towards and give me support and all that. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it really is a team in more ways than one, and that includes supporting everyone. So I want to kind of focus for the next little bit on you, Brian, and you, Cole, as well. So I want to go to Brian first. So I mentioned you played for Atar Belleville before, my friends there, but you also played for Forward Madison. You mentioned earlier you played for both Chattanoogas, and you played for Puerto Rico FC. Puerto Rico FC. They didn't last very long in the NASL, but I want to ask, what was it like playing for Puerto Rico FC?
Unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, I lived on the beach, and I'm a beach bum who's kind of stuck in the Midwest, especially going there after graduating from Loyola Chicago. It went from, I remember I got off the plane. I think it was 40 degrees in Chicago, and I got off the plane. It was 85 in Puerto Rico. So yeah, but it was definitely a cool experience. I would have probably never have thought to ever go down there for anything other than maybe a vacation here or there. But no, I was lucky enough to be there for 2 years. Supporters were incredible, and the food's incredible. And then
I'm
on top
sure.
of that, we were owned by Carmelo Anthony's ownership group. So got to
Did you ever get to meet Carmelo?
I met him on a handful of occasions, and actually my pro debut, he kind of unofficially threw my birthday for me, so that was a blast. We went up to the New York City Puerto Rican Day Parade. We were in the float right behind him as he was the king of the parade. So yeah, no, it was just unbelievable experience down there. I loved the NASL league. It was fun. I wish it would still be going strong, but that's neither here nor there. You could have multiple podcasts on that issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a blast. I enjoyed all my time there, and it was a great way to get my career started.
I imagine you probably had some pretty brutal road trips, though.
that was the worst part. Everything was a long road trip, and I'm usually a couple games at a time, just because I mean you're flying everywhere. I do remember the worst flight was I was not initially on one of the trips, and we were on a road trip, and we had to go to Edmonton, and there was an injury, and so they called me and were like, "We need you to fly to Edmonton tomorrow," and that was about a 19-hour travel day by myself.
Not my favorite. Not my favorite.
That was the one downside.
Well, in case you just joined us, we're doing a little something different tonight on Red Smoke Rising. We are interviewing BOHFS owner and gaffer Alen Bradaric, as well as players Brian Bement and Cole Gerstenberg before their match in the Open Cup next week against Union Omaha. Tickets are on sale now, and in fact, I will go ahead, if you're watching on YouTube, drop the link for those once again. I want to get to Brian, I want to get to your experience with Union Omaha before, but Alen, you've got some merch for sale. You got the new Open Cup kits, which you can kind of see here if you're watching on YouTube, which are really nice and, in my opinion, are the best kits that have gold featuring a St. Louis team this year. Jeremy's going to disagree with me on that. I'm just saying. But then you also have a couple of scarves as well. So you got you got the black and white BOHFS, and then you've got the checkerboard red and blue BOHFS. So how can people get their hands on these or this?
Very, very limited supply of the jerseys left. I mean, lower league soccer, everything is on a budget, and we had to get a few. Just I mean, who wouldn't want one? But I mean, honestly, we can't afford to experiment too much. If you look at those scarves, it's got Epic on one end, and they've been, I mean, they've been amazing and offered to buy 80 scarves for us to sell or give out or anything with them. So they're going for $25. If anybody would like one, just send us a DM, Venmo us, and we'll find a way to either mail it to you or drop it off. And again, I mean, any money we raise goes directly into the club. I mean, there's nothing like no one's getting paid on the players. I'm not getting paid. It's all just for the love of the game. We're just trying to stay afloat and keep the party going. And yeah.
And of course, it
anyway,
goes.
So just DM us, let us know, and we'll find a way to get it to you.
Yep, Jeremy.
So, no, and this is actually maybe a question for all three of you. I know we're talking about the Open Cup game coming up on the 18th, and you guys are all members of BOHFS in some way, whether it's owner, coach, or player. But soccer is a massive game around the world. So I have to ask, are there other clubs that you support or players that you've modeled your game after in your career?
Well, yeah, glory, Man United. I don't know if you can see behind me, but I'm actually an official shareholder of Man United. So I'm a diehard up the Reds.
Go.
Glory. Yeah.
Hey, let's go 20 times. Let's go.
Yeah. Hey, Carrick's at the wheel right now, baby.
That's right.
So I got to go with United as my team. As far as players, I would honestly, my favorite player within these last 10 years has been Jamie Vardy.
Okay.
I
cool.
like it.
I've always been a Manchester City fan, so a little bit of a rivalry there between teammates.
And you two get along. Wow.
Is Yarrow still available for a loan?
I'm dead.
Oh no!
Can't do me like that, Alen.
Yarrow catching stray still.
I would never.
Oh my!
At least he's not a Liverpool fan.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey! We're friends here, okay? I never walk alone. Damn it!
Yeah, you live in the city. No. All right. Sorry, I'll stop.
Okay, so you were saying city players you have modeled your game after or been inspired by.
I'd say a big one for me was Vincent Company growing up. Just like he's always been one of my favorite players. His leadership style, his leading by action, and also just like that big physical presence, able to go score a goal off a corner, able to make a huge slide tackle in his own box. Just it's kind of always who have styled my game off of a little bit.
Yeah, heck of a player. Company was heck of a player back in his day. And Cole, I'll just keep going with you. So, you're one of obviously you're one of the younger players on the roster. Are you still going to college? What's your background in soccer, and what are your goals in soccer?
Yeah, so I played down south at Farmington High School, which was pretty small.
St.
But I've
Francis
been
County.
playing club. Yep, I've been playing club soccer up here since I was probably 10 years old, making that drive to Lufuse. And then I went to McKendree University over in Illinois, a D2 school there. Played for 4 years. And then after that, I went to graduate school, and I'm still in graduate school. So that's kind of stunted any progress that could have really happened. So that's why it's super nice just to play for a team like BOHFS where I can have that going on, but still able to make all the time commitments and everything, and not have to train every single day, but still be able to be a part of a really competitive team as well. So,
Now, are you hoping to follow in like the footsteps of like Brian and some of the more veteran players that used to play pro before?
I don't think so. I just don't think I can go back to training every day, especially with a very busy schedule. I am very content with where I'm at, just playing with a great group of guys, playing some competitive games, playing for fun. So
you're not going to follow Stone Marion to City 2, I guess.
I don't think so, but if they're interested, let me know. Then maybe.
Hey, yeah. If anyone from St. Louis City is watching, I mean, it sounds like Cole might not have a job with BOHFS much longer. He might be getting loaned out to ATAR, so he might be available. Brian, I want to get to you. So we were talking about you've played a lot of soccer in your time, and you actually this is not your first dance with Union Omaha. I believe you've played them before, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So I've gotten to play them a couple times. I will say though, the most recent time I did play them, I was with Chattanooga Red Wolves, and we knocked them out of playoffs.
Nice.
So the last match so far has been a positive one. Obviously they're a good side, have won a couple league titles and have gone their Open Cup runs. But it is fun to have a little bit of familiarity against the team. And just know playing guys from the past.
So I guess, I was talking with Cole about, his goals in soccer and where he hopes to go from here. I guess I ask you, Brian, since you're in your 30s, what keeps you going in this stage of your career? What keeps you suiting up and playing?
I just love it. I retired kind of not on my terms. I had some injuries that kind of forced me away. And then have since been kind of getting back into it in a more competitive kind of feel of things. Physically, I was like my body, I planned on playing professionally until I was about 35, which would have been another 3 years from now. So physically, I feel like I feel good. And so, yeah, I just love it. It's one of these sports that, I mean, I'll be playing literally till the wheels fall off, and then still probably figuring out a way to play. But yeah, any opportunity to still compete at a level like the Open Cup, I mean, I just can never pass that up.
So, Brian, Cole, either one of you can answer, or you both can. While you guys may be at different points in your careers, guys that are now going to be playing at this level, or at least on a nationally broadcast stage, what's the value to you guys in that? There may be players who might be trying to take that next step. Like, can you speak to the importance and value in that part of this as well?
it's massive. Open Cup, it's every team in the United States. So all these teams are watching. I've been on multiple clubs that sign guys straight from the Open Cup or their summer league. And so, yeah, I mean, literally every team is watching. So if you have a breakout moment, you never know what could happen as far as your career. So for the young guys, I've told a couple of them that I was like, if you're looking to play, this is your opportunity to showcase your game in front of a lot of eyes.
Well, and I was going to ask you as well. I mean, because again, you get like players like Stone Marion that come in, and again, Alen, and BOHFS, they do run an academy, so you get younger players that play alongside veterans like you. Is that something you particularly enjoy? Is playing with younger players and kind of showing them the ropes and kind of guiding them along?
Yeah, I mean, at this point in my career, I do a lot of private individual coaching sessions as my job, and so it's something that I've kind of fallen into. And I mean, I like seeing them succeed. I mean, obviously on our team, if they succeed, I succeed, so it's a win-win. But even going forward, it's just awesome to see people that I know and play with moving on to higher and higher places, especially from the St. Louis area. I love being able to turn on the TV and be like, hell yeah, that team's got 3 guys from St. Louis on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cole, you get to play, with a lot of veterans as well. So, how much has it benefited you playing alongside players like Brian, Adam Knight, Chad Bond, Liam Collins, those guys?
Yeah, it's huge, especially just to get a different perspective of whether it be tactics or goals of what we're trying to do. Those are some guys that have played some really high levels of soccer, whether that be 2 years ago or 10 years ago. So it's just been amazing to kind of just play with those guys and be able to learn a lot from them. And also just be friends and be on the same team trying to achieve the same goals. So yeah, it's been really cool.
So, guys, we just got done listening to you talk a little bit about this being a showcase moment for some of the younger guys, right? The chance for them to get that exposure. What's the message, though, to say this is your moment, but remain focused and playing within yourself? How do you as players balance that kind of mentality?
I mean, I think this kind of the same way that we have been. We've got a good balance of guys who have played at a top level and guys who are young and played in front of a lot of fans, even in like high college level games or whatever it may be. But I mean, there's been a wide variety of players, and I think it's got the kind of balance that even if you have a young player who may get frazzled, I mean, you've got a guy like Chad who can put his arm around him and calm him down and explain, hey, this is no different than another game. And yeah, I think that is kind of how we're going to have to lean into things, is just using everybody.
Well, we are going to ask you two, Cole and Brian, 10 rapid fire questions. We're gonna ask a few about you and your team, and then your teammates. So, first question: biggest prankster on BOHFS? Who you got?
Gibbs.
Gibbs.
Yeah,
Cole, you agree?
Liam Sapper, the goalie.
Sap.
Yeah.
Well, goalies are a little mental, right?
Guy's a crazy guy.
I actually got I got the carpool with Gibbs on the way to Woodland, and I can verify he's a character. Who has the worst taste in clothes? Anyone that you look at and just like, why are you wearing that?
That's a tough one.
Maybe it'd be easier. Who has the best taste in clothes?
I'd say probably Chad Bond.
Yeah, definitely Chad.
Yeah.
That's Mr. HQ or GQ.
Yeah. I would say worst sense, I would have to go Mike Utley. I love the guy, but he's always wearing gym shorts and a shirt, and I think he's actually worn a hoodie under his jersey.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, that's criminal.
I've never seen that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and I will warn you, if you do buy one of these BOHFS jerseys, you'll want to order a size or two up. So, like, I can't imagine it was one of these. That'd be very snug. Next one. Who would win in a skill competition? Like who's got the best techers?
Liam Collins.
Liam Collins, yeah.
Liam Collins, one of your veterans.
Yeah.
Just
All
does
right.
some stuff that you've never seen before.
Yeah, he can put the ball anywhere he wants.
Yep. Well, we got some foodie questions for you now. So this is on behalf of No Goal Patrol, one of our supporters groups and our friends. How do you like your buffalo wings? Do you like flats or drums? Or are you equal opportunity?
I'm a pretty equal. I like to, I like to eat them in different situations. You know, like if I'm doing something and I have one hand free, I'm going drum. If I'm sitting there and I'm just pigging out, I'm flats.
That's
Love
fair.
it.
Cole?
You know what I mean? Like
I think
it's all about
pretty equal.
You can drumstick one-handed, have your beer in the other hand, and then you have to really lock in on the flats.
Let him cook. Let him cook.
You might be making. I say you're making a case for drums over there. But what was Cole saying?
I'm pretty equal as well. If I had to pick one, I'd probably take drums. Just a little easier.
You know what, Alan? Your players are being very diplomatic. Settle this: drums or flats?
As long as there's some ranch, it's all good. I don't discriminate.
Well, I'm guessing you're probably not getting that from Woodland FC though. They forgot the pizza last time. And speaking of food, so favorite St. Louis food? Are you a fan of the emo style pizza, T-Ravs, gooey butter cake? What is if you're welcoming someone into St. Louis from out of town and you want them to experience St. Louis cuisine, what are you giving them?
First thing I'm doing is T-Ravs, and then I'm making sure they have gooey butter cake.
Oh, yeah.
Smart. Cole?
I think I'm gonna go with the pizza.
Really?
Provel's is something
So-
you can't really get anywhere else. I think that's a staple.
So is it Emos or some other place that's doing Provel?
Emos, yeah, Emos is good. Joey B's on the hill, they do a good Provel pizza. So yeah, just a couple to mention.
Well, I will say I hung out with Chicago House a little bit. They played Bizloka Chicago on the way to playing you guys. And I definitely heard some slander towards St. Louis style pizza because they're all about the tavern style pizza up there. So if nothing else, I'm glad you shut them up over that. Favorite stadium that you have played in? I guess this would be more for Brian, I guess. Or Cole, you can answer as well. But Brian, favorite stadium you've played at?
I loved playing at Tampa Rowdies.
Al Lang, I love that place.
And it's got a Cardinal tie, so it's even better.
Yep, former spring training home.
Sits right there on the water. They have a good group of supporters. Yeah, that might have been my favorite to play.
Yeah, really good group of supporters. I saw them this weekend in Sarasota. They went and lent their support to AC Boise, who were playing Sarasota Paradise, and it was hilarious. But yeah, there's something charming about Al Lang Stadium. It's really hard to kind of explain, but that's a good example of how that in Forward Madison, how you can convert old baseball stadiums into good soccer pitches. Cole, have you any favorite venues that you've played at?
Honestly, not even because we're playing there coming up, but I would say probably Lindenwood. Played there a couple times when I was at McKendree, and it's just a really, really cool stadium. So,
and it's a great venue for the game coming up next week. And there's been some Open Cup magic there in the past before, courtesy of St. Louis FC. But now, favorite stadium that you've been to as a fan?
That's tough.
Got to go City Park.
City Park? That's a great answer.
Honestly, it's hard to beat it. I haven't been able to get to any real games outside of the States, soccer-wise. So yeah, I might have to go City Park.
City Park. You can't go wrong with that, absolutely. Now, for both of you, if there's one thing you could do differently about your career at this point, what would that be? If you look back at like Brian, like you look back at your journey, was there ever like a crossroads moment where it was like, I should have done that differently?
Yeah, I mean, I battled with injuries, and I think a big part of that was me being a little hard headed and wanting to just play through them without really saying a whole lot, which caused them to be worse. And so, yeah, I think now I've looked back, and I mean, I'm coming back from an injury, honestly, right now. I did my MCL this winter. And so I'm like, but I took way more time than I did any of my injuries that were in the past. Granted, I'm older now, but I, I think I tried to play through some stuff that I probably shouldn't have, and kind of cost me a few years of my career. But it is what it is at this point. I'm still getting to play.
Fair. Anything for you, Cole, at this point? I mean, I know your career is a lot less trodden than Brian's.
Yeah. No, I don't think there's anything that I would change. I haven't really had any injury issues ever, and yeah, I don't think I'd change anything.
All right, and final question. This is the most important one. Ronaldo or Messi?
Ronaldo.
You did the Ronaldo Selly and that goal. I expected that one from you, Brian. What about you, Cole?
I'm also a huge Ronaldo guy.
Okay, two Ronaldos. All righty. Well, guys, it's been a pleasure. Next week, Wednesday, March 18th, Union Omaha for the history of St. Louis soccer behind you and St. Louis Open Cup history behind you as well. Hope you guys really put on a good showing. And any final thoughts, Brian?
I'm just excited. All the St. Louisans, everyone that likes to hype up our St. Louis Open Cup history. See you there. This is another chance to witness history, and let's pack out Lindenwood. Let's make it like you guys did for St. Louis FC.
Absolutely. Cole, any final thoughts?
Yeah, same thing. Come support us out at Lindenwood on Wednesday.
Absolutely. I'll go ahead and drop the link in the chat one more time, and I'll also put it into the podcast notes as well. Definitely support your local club. Check them out. And we want to thank Alen as well. He had to duck out a little bit ago. And Jake, any final thoughts or any final questions?
Yeah, I can't wait to go to the game on Wednesday and support you guys. I was there at the Woodland game, and that was really fun. You guys played well, and yeah, I can't wait to go watch you guys again.
Jeremy?
No, but so again, thank you all for taking the time out to come on and talk to us tonight, previewing the match, and more than anything, up the BOHFS.
Yeah,
Up
Boy, BOHFS.
Up the BOHFS. That's what I love about this community is that even all the other clubs that are in your league in the Midwest Premier League are backing you guys, and I know the ATAR guys are going to be out there, and I know the Gateway Football Group guys are going to be out there as well. That is our new club that we are starting in 2027, and if you want to see our name and crest revealed, if we can pop that up on the screen, you can join us at Pat Connolly Tavern this Friday, March 13th. And it is a members only event. So to be a member, you can just scan the QR code on the screen or go to gatewayfootballgroup.org and click on the membership page. And you get a really nice scarf out of it, which Jeremy and Jake, you guys will have your hands on Thursday, actually, because we'll be at the St. Louis Hall of Fame dinner. So very important week for local soccer. And, of course, if you can attend, that would be great. Alen, any final thoughts before your game next week before we wrap up?
It would mean the world to us if you can come out, bring a friend. I mean, this is a really unique opportunity, and we just want to enjoy the experience with everybody. We won't be scared to whip the ball into the box when we get it in the attacking third, like City this past weekend. And we're just going to get stuck in, and no matter what happens, will happen.
So are you loaning Brian to City to fix the striker woes? Is that what I'm hearing here?
Hey, anything they need from us, we're here.
Where were you when Pedro was available? Come on.
Man, I don't know how he got a contract in City, but I'm happy
Man, now Jake's catching a body. Pedro was his favorite.
Come on, man. No,
Look,
I don't want to hate. He's a fellow Bosnian, but I mean, man, like some of these guys that we bring in the city, you got to think like surely you can find the equivalent in some regional college around the Midwest. Sorry, I had to put that out there. But no, I mean, like if we're gonna bring somebody in, I think it's got to be somebody that's like a proven game changer or something, like because this isn't working.
Yep. So basically what you're saying is less Pedros and more Gerstenbergers. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. Cole, Jackson, Jermaine back there. Um, I mean, if Chad could get a new back, he could probably still be out there.
Well, when you get old, these things happen.
That's right. No, I mean, honestly, like half of our team has season tickets. We all try to go. Like we're huge fans of City, of MLS, and just like listening to you guys talk about him earlier. I mean, it hurts us. Like we all want, no matter what team from St. Louis, to be as successful as possible, and we're all fans no matter what, and we'll support the team no matter what. But like if we could sign Benzema over the summer, maybe somebody from the Saudi leagues, that would be amazing.
Firmino.
Yeah, why not?
Lutz, help us out there. Alrighty, guys. Well, best of luck next week. Thank you to Back Connolly Tavern for supporting this show. They're at the corner of Oakland and Tam in beautiful Dogtown, a St. Louis institution since 1942. And I'm your soccer zombie, Tom Franklin.
Sorry, I was just gonna add one thing. I saw a couple comments about merch for next week. Lindenwood won't allow us to sell anything at the university. So, like if anybody is interested in anything, just send us a DM or I mean,
Is that Alan? Is that going to be on Instagram or what site? What way?
Instagram, Twitter. I would put my number out here, but somebody might abuse it. But yeah, just let us know. Let Brian know. Message some of the guys. We'll figure out a way to get you what you need.
Well, I will warn you, if you put your number out there, I am friends with Union Omaha supporters, and the day of the game or the morning of the game, they're just going to ring your phone off the hook.
Hey, just tell them I know what hotel they're staying at, and I know where they're coming to have their pregame practice, and they asked me if they could borrow some balls. We can make some adjustments.
Well,
we can play. Hey.
We'll talk off the air about that hotel location, so I know where to go for the pots and pans at 3:00 in the morning.
No, we'll welcome all of them with open arms. I think it's going to be an amazing opportunity for us. I mean, who knows? Maybe Cole has the game of his life and shows that he's better than their center back. Maybe he gets an opportunity. You never know, right?
Exactly. I mean, of course, Cole, you're 6'5", so like, you go soaring up there for a header on a corner kick. I mean, someone's bound to notice that.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys. Best of luck next week. And I'm your soccer zombie, Tom Franklin.
I'm Jeremy Clements.
I'm Jake Henry.
And this has been a special edition of Red Smoke Rising. And remember, up the BOHFS.